Hello again, and welcome back to the Fear and Beer podcast, where we talk all things horror, horror nights, and just a dash of beer. I'm Nick.
And I'm Shamus.
All right, episode 8 here, and this is just going to be sort of a quicker style episode for us. Me and Shamus in the past have talked about how when we moved down, it didn't really feel like we were moving too far away from home because we were down here so often, and lo and behold, pretty much our entire family is down in Orlando right now. My mom, Shamus's parents, our uncles, our cousins, everyone's kind of been in Orlando this week, so it's going to be a little bit of a...
Haven't had much time to prepare anything too substantial, so...
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty abridged episode this week, but we haven't really talked much horror nights the last couple of weeks. We've done a couple of lists and mock events and stuff like that, which is really fun, but there have been a couple, I don't want to say updates on Halloween Horror Nights, but there have been some little random rumors, some small stuff that's kind of been floated around, so we're just going to kind of hit on that a little bit today, and then we're going to give you our top 3 hype lists for those speculated houses that Horror Night Nightmares has dropped on that map a couple weeks ago, and then we're going to give you one property each that's on that map that we're just kind of meh about. You know, there's a lot
sure about.
Yeah, just something that might not really excite us, and some of you probably know which one I'm gonna pick.
You might be surprised by the one that I'm leaning towards, but yeah, so there really hasn't been a lot there just wasn't a lot to talk about tonight, so we're just going to give you some quick updates. We'll be done probably a lot shorter than we are usually, but before we do that, why don't we talk about some beer, because we are Fear and Beer, obviously, so we'll do that before we get into anything else. So the beer we're featuring tonight is Original Reaper. It's a stout by Half Acre Brewing, or they call this Half Acre Beer. They are based in Chicago, Illinois, so they're, Chicago, da Bears.
Da Bears.
That area of the country. It looks like, from what I've done a little bit of research, is Half Acre started as a brewery. They have 2 locations. They also have a tap room out there, so obviously something I should be checking out next time I have that part of the world on work. They do a lot of seasonal stuff. They have some year-round beers, which I believe Original Reapers are year-round beer. Obviously, the reason we picked it is because it's called Original Reaper, and that's pretty spooky. It's got a couple skulls in the can, so the can art's pretty cool too. The beer itself is just an American stout, so they'll have some chocolate, some coffee notes. Nothing too wild or out there, but interested to try it. We'll see what it tastes like and then give you our opinion on it.
I'm not sure picking a high ABV stout for a shorter episode was the smartest idea, but I'm going to give it a whirl.
We do this podcast out of your bedroom, so you could just roll over and fall asleep. You don't really have to do much. I'm the one who has to drive home.
Yeah. It's very smooth. It's heavy but smooth. It's weird.
Not surprising. It's an American stout. They're typically smooth. Typically, like I said, you get like a chocolate or a caramel or a coffee note or a combination of the 3.
Definitely a very strong coffee note. It feels thick. Yep. Very thick.
Yep.
That whirl. But you can let it sit in your mouth and almost just feel the weight. Your jaw's going to drop down a little bit.
You can smell the caramel, chocolate, and coffee.
Get a real coffee and then a real bitter at the end.
Oh, yeah, that's really bitter.
Yeah.
It's actually more bitter than I expected.
Mm-hmm. Because usually with these stouts, it's a real smooth taste. There's not much bitterness for stouts.
Yeah, normally with an American stout, like a sweet stout, it's typically obviously more sweet, but this one's definitely heavier, a little more bitter. I mean, again, I'm not an expert, so I'm sure that there are American styles that tend to be more bitter. This is obviously one of them. It's good.
But good. I still enjoy it.
Yeah, nothing, like I said, nothing wild about it. I would totally pick it up again and try and drink it again.
All right, so let's dive into these Horror Night updates, or lack thereof, actually. So let's just talk about a capacity aspect. What do we think the event's going to look like? Are they going to be doing certain groups at a time? How popular is this event actually going to be? From my opinion, with all the travel bans and stuff still in effect, a lot of UK folk aren't going to be able to make it this year, unfortunately. I think the crowds are going to be pretty light. So far, with the parks being opened, I got to go to a cast member screening of Animal Kingdom. Obviously, that was very, very limited capacity, so it's not a true representation of what the parks will look like as far as Disney. Every time I've gone to Universal, the parks haven't really seemed too crowded. I don't know if that's obviously the recent surges in the cases. I'm not sure if people have spent all of their free government money. I'm not sure if it's too hot out.
I think this year we kind of knew it just when they reopened the parks back in June, the beginning of June last month. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was for a Universal park. It was dead. I mean, it was a lot of people there, but it wasn't like it normally is, where it's so busy and it's wall to wall people, especially in the summertime. So I think throughout the rest of the year, it's gonna stay this way. It'll probably pick up a little bit, just theme park attendance, which probably could affect the numbers that come to Halloween Horror Nights. Because this is just my gut feeling. What's gonna happen, at least from what I've seen so far, is that they're gonna push to open again in about a month. Obviously, the surging right now isn't good, and so they're locking everything down again, kind of. I mean, this is Florida. They don't typically lock a lot of things down.
Yeah, that's the one. That's why I think we're going to keep pushing through.
So my guess is they'll push through, and they'll obviously, I'm not saying they're not going to have HHN this year. They're probably going to have HHN this year. But they'll probably do what they've been doing, limiting the number of tickets sold. I've seen pictures of people buying tickets. I don't know what the situation is as far as ticket sales are now, but
there is that BOGO, which ends the 20-something, I think the 22nd. So buy one event ticket, get one free. Obviously, that means, I don't mean to cut you off, but that means buy one night, get another night entered free. Correct. Right? That's 2 nights. So good deal if you're not from Florida, if you're a transient or just coming down on vacation. That's a good deal. However, we're waiting for those frequent fears to drop, which I think the consensus.
They haven't announced it yet.
No.
And I think the only reason I would see it not happening is because they're trying to control the number of people, but I don't know how buying a come whenever you want pass is really going to affect the numbers at all.
I think
I think the BOGO does more damage to that than a frequent fear pass.
Yeah, and I think those will go on sale once the BOGO ends.
Yeah,
or they'll be at least talked about after that. So
because I haven't seen anything, because I don't know. You think you're a pass holder, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, normally we'll, as pass holders, if you're a pass holder, you will get an email or something that says, "Hey, this is your options," because you can usually get a frequent fear pass cheaper than normal.
Yeah, and I have a lot of alerts set up too, so when those drop, I'll not necessarily be the first to know, but I'll at least have something telling me to go buy my ticket.
You usually know pretty fast.
Nah, so I think frequent fear is coming. It's just a matter of once those tickets go on sale, and obviously everything's kind of still up in the air, so to speak.
Right, and with frequent fear, what they'll do is, like they're doing with their pass holders for the regular theme park, is they're going to make you probably reserve whatever nights you're going. So it won't be like it has been in years past where you just show up and get in.
Scan in, yeah.
I doubt it. I could be wrong, but my guess is that they're going to sell so many of these single-day tickets, and then once they reach their max in single-day tickets, they'll be able to let in however many more frequent fear pass holders or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that as long as it doesn't need to be crazy advanced.
Yeah, exactly. If it comes to find out that, hey, you need to tell us what days you're coming through the whole season.
Yeah, then I'll request every day.
Yeah, I'll book every day. I mean, that's not really going to stop anybody.
No. So I haven't seen Universal do the reservation system. I know Disney has been right now. I don't know how the success of it is. I guess it does control walk-up business, but I think just overall attendance, without it even being capped, I think it's just going to be slower as is. I mean,
yeah, I think Americans are smart enough to not go out if it's dangerous. And I think we're seeing that a lot of people just aren't doing anything, even if states are saying, "Oh, let's open." So even if Florida has said, "Oh, we're good to go," a lot of people are still avoiding coming to theme parks. So we're not. I still don't think we're going to get a ton of out-of-staters.
Yeah, it'll be a big local.
I mean, I know we said international. Obviously, a lot of the international flights can't even get in here right now. But outside of that, I don't think you're going to have a lot of far-away out-of-staters.
No,
you'll probably get a lot of people from Georgia, a lot of from the border states, out Mississippi, and through Alabama and Louisiana as they come through. But outside of that, it's going to be primarily local.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to be flying across the country for this event. Right. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think a lot of the travel time will be.
There will be people, but it won't be like. I think what we're saying is that it won't be a large number. Like, it's not going to dominate the numbers of who comes. It's going to be pretty much locals and then some people that are willing to brave the COVID pandemic to come here.
I mean, if at this rate where we're going, everyone's going to already be infected by the time we get there, so who cares?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking September, October, so we still got 2 months before this is supposed to open, or it's going to open. So, yeah, who knows what's going to happen in 2 months. I'm not silly enough to believe that this is going to go away. It's still going to be an issue, but I trust that Universal is going to do everything they can to make it safe. And It's one of those things where it's like you just gotta make a personal decision. If you want to brave it, come on down, buy a ticket, come down and go to it. I mean, just make sure you wear a mask. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, as long as you're safe about it,
be safe about it. Instead of crying they have to wear a mask, just wear one.
Yeah, just deal with it. It's fine. So I think that the capacity will be down, obviously. Not talking just restricted. It's absolutely going to be restricted, but I just think normal travel flow is going to be kind of down from that end, which in turn I think is going to give us a better opportunity for those locals to go. I think we're going to get that kind of group at a time aspect of the house, almost very old school where you used to actually be scared in these houses.
It's definitely going to be, actually, I mean, one silver lining to the pandemic is that if crowd numbers are down, what I'm kind of crossing my fingers for is that, like you just said, that they're not going to do send everybody, just keep sending people through.
The meat factory.
Big line of people just going through it. That they will say we're limiting it to groups, like of 6 people and less, or just a group. So if you show up with a bunch of friends, like they'll let you guys in as a group, but then they're going to try to limit how many go in at a time. So whether it's every 5-10 minutes, they'll let another group in.
Yeah.
It'll affect wait times, but at the same time,
there'll be less overall.
Less people, so maybe the times won't really change much than years past. But.
Yeah, so I will gladly trade off, the same wait or a little bit longer to have that effective walkthrough.
Right, exactly. Like
it's almost private.
Like I said, like my one complaint from experiencing it last year for the first time was that it feels like when you walk through a house, there's like you're missing things. Like it's like
you can't see everything.
Right, and unless you're that person that just is lucky enough to get in at the right time, and you're actually getting the scares at the right time.
Yeah, it hits only so few people.
Yeah, and especially when you've got, like I said before, I think first or second episode, when you've got someone posted every 10 feet and they're telling you to move, keep moving, and I'm one of those that just like I want to appreciate the craftsmanship and like all the different things that they got in there, and so I stop and I try to go really slow. I'm that a-hole that like doesn't let you like
backs it up,
just like backs it up because I want to see everything.
Get moving, go.
Yeah, it's that is definitely a trade-off that I'm willing to give up.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that aspect of it. So that's kind of the latest updates, I guess, on crowds, or just at least our takes. One little update that I saw maybe a week or so ago, the Fear Factor stage, it got closed off. There was a sign out front that said, "We're getting ready for Halloween Horror Nights."
Oh, nice.
So
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so it was weird. So that happened. Everyone started talking about Academy of Villains going on that side.
I heard that they weren't going to do that this year.
Yeah, so, and then a couple days later, I guess somebody had posted, again, in front of Fear Factor stage, similar sign, only this time it didn't say anything about getting ready for Halloween Horror Nights.
Right.
So someone screwed the pooch.
Yeah,
someone got fired.
Shouldn't have put a sign up.
So the one of two things, either that's exactly what they're doing, they're getting something ready for Halloween Horror Nights, but they didn't want people to know yet because it hasn't, officially, sales hasn't been officially
really
announced for everything yet.
They haven't even announced that they're actually having it yet.
Yeah.
We're all obviously we're just assuming.
Yeah, the dates were announced last year, but things change obviously. And then the other option of that was that somebody accidentally put out a Horror Nights thing when in reality it has nothing to do with Horror Nights. Yeah. It was just a pure coincidental accident.
I'm less likely to believe that only because that's a really.
That's a stretch.
That's a really.
Whoops! I grabbed the thing that's covering the event in 2 months. Whoopsie!
I'm trying to think how to say it, but like that's just a mistake that doesn't happen. That's not a mistake.
Yeah.
Like you don't just put that out there, especially when everybody's speculating, is HHN going to happen? Are we actually going to have it this year? And then you put that sign out. Obviously, they're having it. Obviously, that was what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But like you said, they didn't want anyone to know that yet. They want to be like, because again, like all the news that we've heard so far is that because of COVID, because of the large crowds in an arena, they don't want stage shows because of it. So I mean, it may not even be a stage show. It could be something different.
Which for me, I don't really understand the whole not wanting to have people at a stage. I mean, in a stage show, you can completely designate where somebody sits, and you can sit people apart.
I think
it makes it easier.
That's what they'll do. I mean, if you're allowing people to buy tickets to a NASCAR race down here,
and movie theaters,
it's
the same thing.
Then yes, you can easily. So what I think they'll probably do is rather than in years past where they just kind of count in a number of people and let them all into the stage, they'll stop you and say, all right, at a certain number, we're gonna cut people off, and then they're gonna make you sit like within 6 feet away from each other or whatever, 13 feet, whatever.
I mean, if you just rope it off, you go every other bench,
right,
and then you kind of just put tape down or whatever. This is your box, this is your box, and that way you can almost like crisscross and.
Right. I mean, there won't be if it's Academy of Villains, there won't be any of the get up really close to the crowd this year, but you can still at least have some form of stage show.
Yeah, to me, that's easier to control than the houses.
And to be honest with you, if you're worried about it, don't go into the stage show.
Yeah.
Like, it's
that simple.
It's not Universal telling you have to do it.
Yeah, it's that simple. The other update, I believe you sent me this one. The whole,
it
was like a Billie Eilish rumors.
I don't know. This isn't official. This isn't obviously, I mean, this could have easily just been fake. But there was an image that I saw somebody posted from some sort of Billie Eilish fan page or something weird. It's on social media. I don't know. But essentially, I saw it on the Instagram, on our Instagram actually. Somebody had shared it. I think this credit goes to Horror Nights Queen. So thank you, Horror Nights Queen. It's from a Billie Eilish updates page, and essentially it says that this house, or the house, which is referring to the Billie Eilish house that's been rumored or speculated. It says this house will allegedly be situated in the Shrek Theater, which is where the Killer Clowns was last year, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so Killer Clowns was in that theater. And obviously normally those houses don't have a facade, but Billie's house will be the second one to have one. So apparently there's been a facade on something else at the Shrek Theater.
Yeah, I'd have to dig back and look through.
So apparently, according to this page, is that she will be the second house in that location that's ever had a
outside
facade, which could mean nothing, could mean something. I mean, if they think it's that important. I mean, I hate to say it. I know you're not excited about it. We'll get to it, but I'm going to retract the statement I made earlier in an earlier episode where I thought that the Haunting of Hill House house would be kind of like the draw. I really think that they're leading this up to be the big one, and Billie Eilish is going to be the one that everybody comes here for.
This is gonna,
and it's probably true.
It's gonna cover a very large demographic.
Yeah, and it says the house is described to be quote unquote creepy as shit. So I mean, we'll get to how you feel about it.
We'll get there.
And how I feel about it. But we've already kind of touched on it a little bit. But that's something I saw on the Instagram page. So again, thank you, Horror Nights Queen, who posted that.
Another update that we've kind of haven't really brushed on since it all came out. We talked earlier that, the hiring is still going on. They had internal hires. Now, recently, this past week or so, they started accepting outside applications for characters. They kind of gave out a broad description of something that they might need based off of weight or height or anything like that. So that just goes to show you that casting is very much underway. They're still kind of ramping up. I don't know if that means they didn't get enough internal applications. I don't know if...
So remember that, and again, I don't know how much of these numbers are true or not, but they did, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, they did state that they did lay off a number of their park staff, again, because of COVID. So I think they got a little ahead of their britches, rehired a bunch of their staff, and then realized that there wasn't enough people
and then they have
to have people in the park. So my guess is you're right. I don't think they had enough internal applications between whether just not having enough people or a lot of people in the company just don't want to work it because they're worried about it. You got to understand that like regular theme parks, you can be relatively separated from each other. Halloween Horror Nights, you're in an enclosed space with a lot of people at one time, so I can believe that some people are nervous to work it because how are they going to handle masks, how are they going to handle keeping people from breathing on each other or speaking at each other. I'm sure Universal will come up with some task, but you're right, I think that there just wasn't enough internal interest
to that,
this year, so they had to start hiring outside. It's good because it shows that they're obviously still planning it. Still planning
so they're
on
still
they're still planning on having
gears are still turning. That's for sure.
If you ever wanted to work at Halloween Horror Nights, this is your chance.
Yeah, check out that link. Go up to their. I believe it's just on their website.
I mean, to be honest with you, if it wasn't for COVID, I probably would be applying this year.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that if I was working, I couldn't go. If that was the fact, then I would.
I mean, my day job kind of prevents me from doing a lot of things, but I can make it work.
Yeah.
But because we haven't really talked about Terror Village at all, but
maybe
we have mentioned in our first episode that we love it.
Maybe that's something we can revisit in the next.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit
that
or so. Another episode or so.
One other recent update is that they're bringing back this character dining. They kind of put out that that's returning.
Yep.
Not something that I have ever done. I don't even know if I really have a giant interest in it. It's just, I mean, it seems like, the kids do the character dining at Disney. This is spooky,
Like an adult
scary.
version of it.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I'm
to
not.
be honest with you.
Whatever, do your thing. I mean,
yeah, if you're into it, I don't care. Like that's awesome. I'm glad you're into something.
Yeah.
But like,
for me, it does nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. And like,
it doesn't tickle me balls.
The reason I do character dining is because I have kids.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't do character dining because I'm an adult. Now I get it. Again, I don't.
Ooh,
I understand why people do it.
It's a zombie.
But like Disney character dining, okay, you're dining with Mickey Mouse. I can kind of see the
yeah,
allure
that's
there.
understandable.
Dining with a random
Zombie.
zombie.
Here comes Rick from Walking Dead again.
Yeah, like okay, cool. I mean that's cool, but yeah, no.
Do you like your sketty?
It's one of those things where it's like you're gonna have to do it around people wearing masks. So how do you do that? Your scare actors are gonna have to have some form of mask, and I don't think that they can't do it. It's just it's gonna be a lot of non-facial costumes.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of like masked costumes where they can kind of conceal a face mask.
I think a lot of their costumes this year are going to incorporate a mask into it. So I think we're going to see a lot of like effect prop mouth coverings that will serve as a mask that you won't visually see.
We can kind of talk about that a little bit because like if let's say for example there's a Beetlejuice house like they've been talking. Obviously, your Beetlejuice actor or actors is going to be separate from you as you walk through.
Yes, you're not going to be near him.
So it'll be one of those things where like he's in the distance, kind of like talking at you or mocking you or whatever on a microphone, but you won't be up close to him.
Yeah, he's not popping out yelling in your face.
Right. Whereas in years prior, it probably would have been him being the main scare actor in it. But
when we talked about Beetlejuice a while ago, I brought up that whole scene at the very end when he gets his mouth zipped up. Could be something that you see in the house as a mask form. That it's obviously not going to be one of those cheap, just graphic masks. The whole plastic of it could be skin tone.
There's
mask
enough.
You
there's
paint
enough
into it.
There's enough latex. Props out there
that you could pop right onto
facial
that.
props,
Which and you can still make it breathable. I mean, I wear a mask to work outside at Topgolf for 8-9 hours a day. It's not super fun, but it's doable. You're not gonna die.
You can do that. I mean, and again, it'll probably be some form of filtered mask rather than just a face covering like we use, just because you do need to give them the ability to breathe.
Yeah.
And what it also tells me is that there's going to be a faster scare actor rotation.
Yes, they're going to have a lot.
It won't be like someone's in the house for 45 minutes. It'll be 15 minutes, then you rotate.
Switch. Yeah, and they got little rest areas in the back where when they tag out, they can kind of go chill out there and just rotate in, rotate out.
We kind of didn't really touch on it at all already yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are altered operating hours this year.
Yeah.
So rather than being open from 7 to midnight or 1
2
or
a.m.,
2 a.m. or whatever, it'll probably be like 7 to midnight, 7 to 11 depending on the night.
They could even open it up earlier because they've been closing the parks pretty early.
Yeah,
so they could close it. They could open at 5 to 5 to 11.
Right. And I'm not saying I know that for a fact. I mean, I could be totally wrong, and they may just open normal hours.
It makes sense though. I mean, the parks did alter their hours.
Right, all the parks are altered hours too.
Like I just mentioned, I work at Topgolf. Our hours have changed. We close. Not that I understand truly why, because I don't think coronavirus is out haunting the night.
Shit about what time it is.
It's not haunting the night, but I guess it just makes people get inside and spend less hours out, possibly spreading stuff or whatever.
Again, that's a whole other discussion for
Yeah,
another podcast.
That's for the science people.
Right.
That's for them smart folks.
I just listen to scientists.
The Universal website started selling some Horror Nights 30th anniversary merch, which is a good sign.
Cool.
There was a lot of stuff that went up. It was so cool, in fact, that it crashed the entire site.
Not surprising.
I believe that was I believe that was yesterday. The site completely went down. There was, I think, T-shirts, some socks, some cups, stuff like that. And it had a lot of the older logo stuff. It had logos from like Halloween Horror Nights 10, 1, 99 with the mummy on it. It had 92, all kinds of different like stuff with Jack the Clown, the mummy, really cool stuff. And then there was also a mistake. So they have since pulled it down. It was the Universal Studio Fright Night. When it first came out, the year under it said 1990, which it was 1991 when it happened. I think they just didn't really check their math too well.
Yeah, it looks like the site's down now. I went to look for it. It says, be among the first to get email updates, but there's nothing on here.
So, but it was pretty cool. Pretty cool designs. So for me, that's a good sign for us, seeing all
Yeah.
this stuff. I don't know if typically in years past, if they've released like merch online ahead of time, but it shows that they've been at work on these
Yeah, I mean,
graphics.
for a company that's not going to have an event, they're doing a lot of things
That says they're
gonna
gonna have
an event. I mean, I'm still about 85% sure it's going to happen. I think there is a 10 to 15% chance
Emergency
there
shutdown.
that they will shut down. It depends. I mean, if Florida keeps setting records, they might reconsider, but like I think eventually it's going to come back down again.
And I think at this point,
word of the wise, stop having COVID parties. Because it's a real thing, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, stop doing that shit, and the numbers will stop going up.
Yeah.
But I digress. Yeah, I still think there's a small chance they won't have it, but they are doing a lot of things right now to say that it's going to happen. I mean, why do you do that and then...
just for nothing.
And then just say for nothing. But, I mean, even if they close it, they're still going to sell all the shit. But
yeah. But it's a good sign, I think.
I think if they sell like old posters or like retro posters from previous events, I mean, I'd love to get like hands on some retro T-shirts and stuff.
And that's kind of what they were. So they should be. I mean, obviously, if it crashed the site, that means they're pretty popular.
Right.
So
exactly.
this isn't something that they're going to be like, oh, well, it was a one-time thing. Like, nah, they're going to load that up.
People are excited.
They need to fill their wallets just as much as the next greedy company.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Disney. Look at all the masks that they're selling.
Yeah.
Making millions of these fucking masks.
Yeah.
Sorry for swearing.
One last note that's kind of on the bummer side. It looks like I forget. I apologize for forgetting where or who posted this on Instagram. It kind of appears that Horror Nights Hollywood is not happening anymore now.
Really?
Yes. So there was some drone footage or pictures that was posted from a couple days ago to today, and their facade on one of their houses and their tents has been taken down. So they've kind of been doing deconstruction, it almost looks like, over there.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking it up on the computer to see if I can see anything. From my point of view, obviously part of that is because that one is in California.
Yep.
We are in Florida.
We don't care.
The way that California is handling the pandemic versus how Florida is handling the pandemic
been a little different.
It's a little different. It
Just
doesn't exactly surprise me that if
just a tad
that they're not going to have the Hollywood one and they are still going to have the Orlando one, just because of how differently we're handling things.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with one way or the other, I'm not saying it one way or the other. Whether I agree with either way, but that doesn't surprise me that if that is the case. I mean, as of right now, California is shutting down a lot of their stuff, and I'm sure it's much harder for Universal to get anything done in the California park if it's still really locked down. Because I don't know. I think theme parks are still closed there, aren't they?
I'm not 100%
haven't
on
been
that,
following
but
it,
it would make
but-
sense that they haven't even opened over there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, like, yeah, you touched on, these are two very different states, and it comes down to the state level of what the governor is going to do.
If you ain't first, you ain't last.
Yeah,
Just saying.
so clearly, our governor is really not going to do much except
No, exactly.
do an
Suck up to
emergency.
Trump.
Yeah, he's going to do an emergency press conference every day and he's going to announce something historic that
Right.
has literally nothing to do with
Right.
anything that's going on.
We've
So,
tested this many people.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah, great. So,
Good for you.
but I think that for better or for worse, typically the worse for, unfortunately, people getting sick, but better for us, we're not going to be shutting down. We're probably going to have this
Doesn't seem like
event
I mean,
full steam ahead.
Yeah, and I think be prepared, especially if you're on the West Coast, that Universal is going to heavily market the Orlando one.
Yeah.
To get you guys to fly out here and go to the Orlando one here.
And they could maybe run some sort of package that kind of knocks off hotel price or something like that. It's just not a good sign. Again, over there, it's because the years are different. It's not Halloween Horror Nights 30 over there.
Right.
They're behind us in years, so
Right.
I feel for them. It sucks. I'd be pissed if our event kind of didn't show up this year. It'd be,
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those. I can understand if they don't do it. So like, I'm not worried if they shut it down. Oh well, it's just we get to wait a year, and then next year it'll probably go ahead as planned. But it does kind of suck that if we do have it and they don't get to have it.
yeah.
I feel
So
bad for the Hollywood fans.
maybe we'll get some West Coast visitors this year, and maybe they'll come check us out.
I mean, I was gonna mention this when we get back to her, but it actually makes more sense now why we be getting a Billie Eilish house.
Mhm.
Only because musical artists, movie, you would just assume a lot of that stuff is
Hollywood
more
oriented.
Hollywood oriented or more LA oriented rather than Orlando.
Yeah.
But I don't think that has anything to do with it. I just think that's just a little interesting.
Cool. Yeah. So that's kind of all of our Halloween Horror Nights news that we haven't really discussed in the last couple of weeks because it's nothing really
It's been
concrete.
kinda quiet. They haven't announced anything yet,
Yeah.
and That's the only thing, again, giving me pause, and that I still think there's a small percentage chance that it does get canceled because they haven't announced anything.
Yeah, so
house-wise or otherwise.
At this point, unfortunately, for everyone that's sick of hearing people talk about the same stuff, we're kind of left with an episode right here of just talking about the same stuff. We're going to fill in the next couple of weeks, obviously, with more stuff like the past of just kind of fun little
we'll
quirky things.
Horror things. I mean, maybe we'll just spend an episode talking about Terror Village or like a lot of the places we went growing up that kind of make us think about horror nights. Because there may be some of you out there that don't realize that there have been or other things, or maybe
other haunts.
Yeah, other haunts that you are aware of, or who knows. And I think we are going to interview a few random people that we're friends with that love Halloween as much as we do.
Yeah, so we're going to bring some people in for sure. So that's really kind of all the quote-unquote news. Something that you mentioned earlier that kind of made my brain start ticking about this. You had mentioned someone, kind of sending us a message on Instagram and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
Yep.
And I shared this story with you, but I kind of wanted to share this story with the rest of the podcast out there. A cool little story about somebody that contacted us on Instagram. So a funny little story about someone that kind of contacted us on Instagram. A person from my hometown actually moved into my old childhood house. She then contacted, or not really contacted, but came in touch with my mom. My mom owns a store up there at a big public market, and from there they started talking. They kind of found out that they are the ones that are kind of living in our childhood house, and she started asking us, they're like, oh, did you have a son or something like that? We keep finding little buried army men all through the backyard. I'm like, yeah, that's me. So she ended up actually got chit-chatting and whatnot. My mom gave them the information about our podcast, and they started listening to us now. So that's pretty cool. So maybe some of my sounds, my voice are echoing through my old house on East Street.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll find some more wrestling figures or something like that.
Speaking of Instagram, or was it Facebook, Instagram? We got a message from somebody about he shared us like T-shirts that he had from years prior. I forget the guy's name. Hold on, let me look it up because I want to give you a shout out because it's cool that we're getting some interaction.
One of my buddies, Tom White.
Is that who it was? Yeah, I think it was Thomas White.
Yeah,
Tom White. Yeah, well, shout out Tom White. I don't know who you are. Nick knows you, but that's cool that you're interacting with us on Facebook. So please, I mean, to anyone else who's listening, don't be afraid to join our Facebook page. Don't be afraid to find us on Instagram. We're on the social medias. We are in the process, and this is actually a good podcast to bring this up. We are in the process of uploading all of these episodes and future episodes to YouTube. We are going to have a YouTube channel soon enough. I'm actually just going to convert the channel that I was working on for a while, and that way we'll be able to do some additional stuff to the podcast that's not just podcasting. We want to do some vlogging, hopefully get some video of us at the event.
Whole new platform for us.
Try to do some on-site meetups with fans. So if we tell you we're going to be there this whatever night, if you want to come down and find us at the event, we'll probably be there. But yeah, we once I find the time to sit down and get all the audio files from my cohort here, I'll get them uploaded to YouTube, and then we'll put some. I'm gonna try to find us some old video of Terror Village, the haunted house.
We have it on YouTube. I can link it. I'll link it somewhere.
Yeah, we'll link it somehow. We'll rip it from your channel or whatever and upload it. But I'm sure my dad's still got the old files on his computer somewhere.
Yeah, those are on YouTube. I remember I have a night vision one and just a harder one.
Yeah, I think your dad took some video of it too.
Yeah, we had the full walkthrough actually. So. Yeah, I mean, man, just keep contacting us. It's super cool. We've had a couple people ask us about coming on as a guest and whatnot, and we'll get there at some point. I mean, maybe once all this madness is over, but I mean, currently we record in my bedroom on 2 USB mics.
We don't exactly have a recording studio.
But it's super humbling that people are not only listening, but kind of contacting us.
I've seen some comments from people across the pond. I mean, talking about how they want to come back to America to come see it again. Yeah. I think it's awesome that someone in another country is listening to my voice. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah, we have some cool. Germany, Ireland, UK. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
So lots of wide.
Shout out to all y'all that's listening. Share it with your friends. Please share it. The more you share this, the more it helps us. Rate and review whatever platform you listen to us on.
But it's just cool, regardless, kind of. Yeah. How far we have come and.
Yeah, and literally 7 episodes.
Yeah.
Too.
So
I thought that it would grow. I just didn't think we'd be hitting this many ears already.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a small little niche market, but there's a lot of the fans are diehard.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And everyone loves it.
Everyone's got some time to kill.
A quote from one of my favorite movies. I mean, if you listen to last week's episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. But everyone's entitled to one good scare, and everybody loves horror, so.
Yeah.
Well, enough vamping about us. Why don't we talk about the houses?
What's our hype
based
list?
On the speculation maps? What are we hyped about? what aren't we so hyped about? Just to kind of fill some air.
So we'll do it kind of like last week. We'll do
Yeah,
a
we'll
top
just go
3.
Top 3, no particular order. Like none of the ones that I'm giving you are like 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, see, I ranked mine.
Oh, okay, I didn't do that.
No, okay. So mine will be in order.
Yeah,
Shamus will
fine.
go one by one.
I'll give you a quick order.
All right, so I will start with me. I'm going to start with my third. These are all top 3, but number 3 on my list of like third most. And I mean, you guys know how I feel about this house. But Billie Eilish is on my hype list.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
So hype for me.
I thought it was gonna be on your bad house.
So-
You had me going for a minute there.
So hype for me is something that I'm curious about. I don't want to say anticipating amazing things.
Yeah. I get it.
My
I think
expectations
I
are.
think everyone listening understands that like this doesn't necessarily mean that like we are personally super hyped for something.
I'm not dyeing my hair lime green. I'm not wearing a new Billie Eilish shirt. I'm not kind of doing anything that she's doing, but it intrigues me. It angers me still because I want something different, but I know nothing about it. So that draws my curiosity in. Now, if you've listened to the past episodes, I've kind of gone on tangents and sure, so I don't need to repeat that. But this would probably be one of my first houses to check out based on the fact that I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm with
curious.
you. Yeah, I mean, I'll just make this easy for everybody. My third, if you want to go in ranking order, would be Billie Eilish too.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm more hyped about it personally than you are.
Mm-hmm.
And only because I've said in the past, I actually find her music relatively interesting. Some of it's kind of poppy, some of it's kind of sugary, but a lot of it's really dark and really interesting and really out there. And that's what I love about pop music, is that if you can find artists that are like that, like when Lorde first came out.
Lorde.
Yeah, I loved Lorde's early work because she was really dark and mysterious. Obviously, she had that big hit song, but like if you listen to her album, it was very dark and different. Billie Eilish is more so. Billie Eilish is young. She's really like into that side of things when it comes to like darkness and being, I don't want to say weird, but you know what I mean. Like she's
eerie,
out there, eerie, and she goes she goes really hard into that realm. I mean, her name is like Billy something pirate Irish or something, something like that. So I mean, if I can get a house from the mind that makes the music that she makes, I'm interested to check it out. I mean, I'm kind of bummed it's in the front of the park. I hate front of the park houses when you first walk in.
They're very much crowded.
You definitely have to walk towards the back and work your way back out front. But I am probably going to want to wait for this one almost immediately.
Yeah, and I'm not changing my original stance on the house.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect
I would trade it for sure.
Right.
But
I'm not sure.
As it stands,
we're different.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I think I actually want.
You would still stick with it.
I would keep with this one, yeah.
Yeah. So, but regardless of if it stays or if it goes, if it's staying, if this is the map that we're getting, it intrigues me.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It has, I think, for me, based off of just my expectation, it has tremendous upside because I don't know what's going on.
The thing is, like, you don't know anything better. You don't really
know what's going
anything
on
about it. So it's like, it could be really, really awesome. It could be really shitty, too. I mean, but...
Yeah. And if it is...
Oh, well.
It wouldn't really change...
It's not going to change how you felt about how you felt initially.
No, because that's kind of initially how I was like, nah, whatever, not. So if it's like an okay house,
right.
I might think it's a great house because my expectations
right. And
were
I know
so
that
low.
some of the arguments have been like, well, you know, they use Rob Zombie stuff all the time. Well, Rob Zombie's a movie director.
Yeah,
he's made movies. They use his movies. They don't necessarily use his music.
Yeah.
I think we had mentioned it in episode 1 or 2 when we talked about his Scare Zone last year, and I didn't like his Scare Zone.
No,
I thought it was cool because it was kind of like a living Rob Zombie music video. But when it came down to it, to me, it was just a bunch of loud music, smoke machines, and half-naked girls dancing. And I'm not complaining about any of that. But it just didn't really work for me. It didn't mesh well.
It was a little misplaced.
I didn't really understand it. And if I wanted to go see smoke machines, loud music, and half-naked girls, I'd go to a strip club.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I'd go to Rachel's and get a steak.
Right. Like, I'm not like... and again, I'm not complaining. People are into it. That's fine. It didn't work for me. So I think what makes it so intriguing with Billie Eilish is because she doesn't really have anything outside of her music.
We don't know what to draw
I haven't
from.
really seen anything else. I mean, maybe she writes. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. Again, if she can make something as dark as she has been in her music,
then we'll be good.
I'm willing to check it out. And I don't think she. I mean, not to finish real quick. I don't think there's anything she could do to disappoint me. I mean, I don't think I'll be disappointed if it's bad. I'll just be like, well, you know what?
It's a house.
They missed.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So number 2 for me, that I'm most excited would be Mannequin Theater.
Oh, that's a good. I didn't even think of that one. That's
Very, very intrigued by this potential original concept. Other than the name, I have no clue of what's going to happen in this house.
Yep.
However, just taking those 2 words and kind of breaking it down and creating an image of what I think it could be, which we discussed on our previous episode, which would be kind of that old school haunted theater, maybe some dressing, the old school theater dressing rooms underneath the stage, a ghost light setting, obviously kind of much like the ending of the Us house with those multiple props, something in that world. That's all I really can have in my imagination, but I'm excited for that.
You know what's interesting is when you bring that up, you're right. It sounds interesting. I didn't even think of that one now that you say it, but it brings me back to a story from a few years ago. Before we had moved down here, we had said before, we used to do our own terror village. We used to do our own haunted walkthrough. There was a year where the current owner of the Clinton Strand,
the Strand, yeah,
the Strand, which is like an old movie theater from from 100 years ago. It's like one of the oldest strands in the world. Look it up. He had actually was looking to do some sort of haunted attraction for Halloween, and I think your mother actually brought it up to us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know Dan was the other kid that worked with us with it. We had begun talking about how could we incorporate the Strand and be able to use the old stage, because it still had behind the screen all the old stage stuff.
It's super scary. So back then, we knew the owners as family friends. It was the Zapantises.
Right.
Now, currently, like some of my best friends own the Strand,
right.
Bill and Rob. So I have seen the whole Strand.
Right.
I have seen. So I even shot a music video there. Super, super cool. So when you go behind the stage, it's a big. So imagine just standing at the bottom of a movie theater, and it goes all the way up, and it's completely open. There's storage back there, but it's just a big cement room. And then in the very back corner, there's a giant spiral case, old school steel spiral case exposed all the way to the ceiling for nothing. There's no entranceway. There's nothing.
Right.
It's just a cutoff.
It's just that when you're talking about the possibilities as a house, that's what just made me
something
think of
that
it.
like ticks that could be the setting.
I mean, it's one of my regrets. I wish we had done something with it, because that would have been really cool to work with, rather than just the backyard of my house. The problem was like when we did it, we only could do it Halloween night because it was a residential neighborhood.
Yeah, we're not going to get business permits. We're not going to.
Right, to be able to get that permit through the Strand and be able to do
they would have already had it
month-long thing, that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But you're right, this house sounds awesome.
Yeah. So what's your number 2 at?
So my second one that I'm hyped for, this is kind of just a personal one because I haven't really seen anything, is the Icons house.
Mm-hmm.
I've never, obviously, like I said, last year was my first year, so I haven't seen the Icons in action.
Yeah.
So having an Icons house will be a good get me up to speed style house where I can see all these different guys and girls and go, wow, that was terrifying. It's kind of cool to get a really quick crash course on the background of all of them and like where they came from. I think that there will probably be some confusion in my part because I'm not going to know everything, and I'll have to probably do some reading before we go. But that's when. I mean, I don't have a lot to talk about it, but
it was going to creep onto mine. But I think so far, being Billie Eilish and Mannequin Theater, and what my next one will be, I think I crafted my hype list mostly around the unknown factor, and being you haven't seen the icon, so it's super exciting. But you kind of know the characters.
Yeah, and I think most people are going to be like you.
You'll be
most
able
people
to
have
know.
seen something in the last 20 years regarding these guys. I've just never seen. I mean, when you're talking like last year, when you were talking about things like Jack and all
the Usher and
all
that stuff.
I'm like, I had no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for it, but it did not crack mine. So my number 1 for the hype, I think we might be on the same boat. Would be that Anniversary House.
Actually, no.
No, okay.
I am excited about that too, but I think it's kind of the same lines with the Icons. I don't really know much about Cary, Ohio, or the Anniversary, and this could go anywhere.
Yes, and that's why it's my number 1. So my number 1 most hyped house for this year would be that Anniversary House, being that with the Icon House, I can kind of tell you it's going to feature the caretaker and Jack, and I'm very excited for that. Don't get me wrong. However, the Anniversary House, I don't know which road they're going to go down.
We're only guessing Cary because it had
It's
Cary,
been mentioned
Ohio.
much.
Yeah, we first speculation map had Cary, Ohio on
Mhm.
it, and it's the same font, so I can
Yeah.
see where you're going with it.
So, and those, the stories that have been online, I think we're going to go down that Cary, Ohio road, which leads us to being able to pick from many, many other houses that have already taken place. But I still don't know which houses. I don't know which scenes. I don't know which characters. So for that, I'm just ecstatic for. I can't wait to see kind of what they pull out of the hat for that one on me.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you on that one. So my probably number one hyped house as of right now, this could change, but it's the Haunting of Hill House house. I loved the Stranger Things house. Obviously didn't go through it enough times when it was here last year, just because the wait was just
always crazy.
Silly. This one, I don't think the wait will be nearly as bad because I don't think it has nearly a following that Stranger Things does.
No.
Stranger Things is very much a family show, even though it's not a family show, in the sense that, like, I think there are kids that watch that and can get a lot from it just as much as adults can. Haunting a Hill House is more of a traditional ghost story. I love the book by Shirley Jackson. I loved the adaptation of the show. We had talked about it before. So just I'm super hyped about that. And it's probably the most hyped I am for any of them, just because I want to see what Universal can do with that property. And it's kind of intriguing in the sense that, like, I think we had said it before, like, there's not a lot there's not a lot in that show that I can think of that will be surefire scenes in a haunted house. So
yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna do.
Interested to see what they take from that show to use in a walkthrough. But that's my number one hyped one. I don't really have a whole ton to talk about other than I want to know what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, as far as what they're going to do, because like I said, I rewatched the whole series not long ago, and still after seeing it, are they going to do just the interior of the house? Are they going to do all the different red rooms?
Right.
Are they going to incorporate anything outside of the house? Like when
I would hope they'd incorporate the funeral home.
Yeah,
because that whole scene in that movie in that show was awesome.
When the coins appear on her eyes, and when the bent neck lady appears, like when she's on her couch, and before you know that. Spoilers before you know what it is, but
yeah, if you haven't seen this show, you go watch it.
So there are moments outside of the house. I just don't know cohesively story wise how it would blend. So I'm excited though because I love that series as well.
Yeah, no, I'm pumped.
You want to lead off with what you got?
So
for
we're not
most...
too hyped about. All right, so this one might surprise some people, maybe not. It's again kind of more of a personal meh, and it's not because I don't think it'll work or I don't think it'll be good, but I have to say that I'm meh on the Texas Chainsaw House. The reason why I'm meh on the Texas Chainsaw House is, again, like I had said last week, it is not my favorite slasher. I appreciate it for what it is and what it was. I appreciate the character of Leatherface. I have played Leatherface on Halloween so many times, but as far as a house is concerned, I have never done a Michael Myers house. I'm a diehard Michael Myers fan, Halloween fan. So I would have rather, for the 30th, seen a Halloween house. Again, I know that for all you regulars that go every year, it's kind of played out. You've seen it before. But I would love to see a Michael Myers, like a Myers home, done up as a house, and, take me through that movie just once. And then after that, I don't ever have to do it again. But, like, I would have preferred that. But that's, again, just the personal side of me. So that's why I'm kind of meh on Texas. Like, I'm going to probably do it more than once.
Yeah.
And I'll probably like it. But it's just not one of those that, as of right now, I'm kind of going, like, I'm just chomping at the bit to go see it. So that's what I picked as meh.
I picked the same house.
Did you?
Pretty much for those reasons where I have done the Chainsaw House before. I have seen the movies. I don't anticipate them pulling anything over on me and giving me something that I haven't already seen. Again, like you said, I love the character. That's not part of the equation.
Right.
It's just that I've already seen this. Now, if you gave me Michael Myers with Halloween, I don't know if I'd actually say the same thing where, like, I've done it before. I've seen it. I don't know what they can do with me because his movies are different. He has different storylines and different settings.
Right.
Typically, Texas Chainsaw is on that old, rundown, beat-up farm with Leatherface in the basement, putting people on hooks and cutting their limbs off. And I know that's a pretty quick generalization of the Texas Chainsaw movies, and you can do that with any of the slashers. Right. However, Halloween, 4, 5, 6, whatever, each one is pretty different. It's not just Haddonfield. You can have them in the hospital. You have them haunting the towns. Each movie you can tell a different storyline. So if they did replace it with like a Halloween or something, I wouldn't give you the same. I'm not too excited about it.
I think I would have been. This house probably would have made my hype list if it had been like we had kind of said ourselves, had done like a slasher king's house where it was like all
Multiple,
the slashers, like multiple ones. I think it probably would have even been on my hype list at that point.
Oh yeah, it would have been on mine.
But I think just being a Texas house alone, again, I'm gonna do it. Probably gonna do it more than once. I just don't think, like you said, I'm not like dying to find out what. I mean, I know what they're gonna do with it. Like you just said, it's gonna be Texas.
It's gonna be the house.
Yeah, it's gonna be Leatherface in his basement with meat hooks.
Yeah.
And that's scary and it's cool, but
it was a really cool house last time, and I do like the houses, but been there, done that sort of, and it'll be fun, and I'm not upset that it's there, but when I saw it there, I wasn't like, ooh yes, let's go,
exactly.
Get some.
Well, and I think what doesn't help is that this was kind of like the secret IP that was on the first on I think it was map 2 they had secret IP.
Yeah.
On map 3 or 3.5 they had Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, so it's like it's not a reach for a secret IP. I want a deep dive for a secret IP.
Right, exactly. If you're going to say secret IP...
Silence of the Lambs.
And again, this isn't necessarily on Universal or on the Halloween Horror Nights speculation guys.
Yeah, no, this is what they're just talking with what the information they get.
It may not even happen.
Yeah.
But the point is that if it goes based on what they have, I think that there could have been so many more options for secret IP.
The Conjuring,
than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
There's.
Have they ever done a Saw house? I mean, you all know how much I love Saw.
But there's again, like I would have preferred more of a deep dive.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But so those are our top 3 and our meh, our bottom 1, I guess. I don't know. But that's just kind of some stuff that we want to discuss, and we actually stretched this episode a little bit longer than I thought.
An hour. I'm surprised if you got this much
which is kind of where we ended up. I feel like that's just a common thread for us. We just get talking, and then we're like, oh shit, it's been an hour and a half.
Kind of the whole point of this thing is just talk. But
yeah. So that's that. Next week, we are still kind of fooling around with a couple different things. We may have something really cool, which is something I have in my mind, but I don't want to say it if it doesn't happen yet.
Yeah, we still have family in town, so we're gonna have to
it's a little limited
time to record as well as figure out what we're going to record.
Yeah, so it's just a little limited this week. Hopefully that kind of gives us enough time to get some news. But
yeah, hopefully they'll drop something. I mean, it's already middle of July. I mean, they have to drop something at some point.
We're 2 months away, a little less than that at this point. Either way, we are going to kind of talk some stuff in the future. We'll figure it out. We'll keep on doing some of those, either the lists or those fake speculation maps, and we have some other little creative style ideas. And let us know. Give us feedback. We love when you guys hit us up.
I mean, I'm more excited when I see actual comments and messages from you guys, whether they're good or bad. I don't care.
Yeah, care less.
I just love the interaction, knowing that I'm reaching some people. Yeah, let us know any ideas, ideas that you think that you want to hear from us, or if you have questions that you want us to answer in a future Q&A. Start listing some stuff out. We'll do. I definitely want to do a Q&A video or podcast episode at some point. Mm-hmm. Once we have a bigger audience, but just start sending us some stuff. And also, send me recommendations for movies, please. Some of you already have.
Yeah, we've checked out a couple of them.
But, please keep doing that, because I am not good enough at keeping up with all the crazy things that horror has done. So if you find some really, and again, like I said, it needs to be obscure and weird. I like weird stuff. So just send me things that you think are great, and I'll check them out, and I'll let you know how I felt about them.
There's actually a really good movie, or I don't know if it's a good movie, but there's a movie that looks pretty creepy that I think you would probably like. I just saw a trailer for it.
Probably.
It's called Oh, no, that's not it.
The Ritual? I've seen The Ritual. I liked it.
That wasn't it, was it?
I like Creep and Creep 2, too, by the way. If you're a fan of The League, the show The League about fantasy football, Mark Duplass plays a weirdo in this movie called Creep and Creep 2. If you haven't seen those yet, they're on Netflix, and they are awesome.
I forget what it was. I'll have to look it up. I don't think it was The Ritual. I think I was kind of confusing the name, but I'll look it up and I'll let you know.
Yeah, The Ritual is kind of like a more serious version of Troll Hunter. Have you seen Troll Hunter?
No.
Which is also awesome.
I don't know. Either way, it was a trailer that I saw in one of the movies. Have you seen it? You watched anything good lately at all, or?
That's a good point. I don't know if
I mean, we've had people in town, so I
haven't really had time to sit down and watch a movie in the last couple of weeks, but actually the last couple of days, anyways. I know I've seen a few things, but no, I started The Wailing on Shudder. I haven't finished it yet. It's another Korean film. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good so far, but it's one of those things where, like, if I'm gonna watch a movie with subtitles, I have to be in the right mood to watch a movie with subtitles.
It's tough to kind of
because it's tough to watch and read and follow along. But I don't know, you.
So after last week's episode, I watched 6 Saw movies, and I realized how downhill they went.
Oh yeah,
it went downhill pretty fast. No, like we said, Saw 1,
Saw 1 is gold.
top tier.
Saw everything else is.
It's just gore for gore's sake,
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
it was
again,
they're fun.
we're not gonna make
Some
this
of
whole
them are fun.
discussion. We're already in an hour,
No.
but Saw 2, okay. Saw 1, gold. Saw everything else.
I just
Take it or leave it.
I just forgot how like drastically it changed.
Oh yeah, it got bad, really bad. Like
Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg, like I love you, man, but oh my god,
Yeah, no, it's just
awful.
But then I had to personally watch it. I don't care how bad the movies are or a movie.
You're a completionist.
Once I finish a series, yeah, I have to finish it through. All right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking along with us. We'll talk to you guys next week. Until next time, this is Nick.
And this is Shamus.
Happy haunts. And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out, Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.